Hi folks, this is Franco Tenelli and this is Science of Singing. In this program I'm going to show you mechanics of Appoggio, the analogies that you may encounter and may help you to understand how Appoggio works. And also, a very important thing, why not only singers but even celebrated teachers sometimes mix up good breathing with support. We hear often people say, if you breathe correctly, you will support correctly. We're going to check it out if it's true. So, let's start. Now, the very important questions. Are breathing and supporting the same actions? We hear often, you breathing incorrect. So by changing breathing, we change support. Question mark. Second, breathing consists of two actions. Inhalation, exhalation. Obvious. Singing consists of exhalation only. So let's look at the exhalation when we breathe and compare it to exhalation during the singing. Now, I'm going to show you the video when you can clearly see how the diaphragm works and what is the function of the diaphragm. And on this video and some other videos that I made myself, I will try to show you mechanics of Appoggio. That in your brain, in your mind, there will no doubt how Appoggio works and what's the benefit of Appoggio. We will talk about it later, and I talked about it in my previous programs. So let's move to the diaphragm action. What is diaphragm doing to our lungs and to our singing? So let's look at this particular scheme.
So let's say it again. Let's look at the exhalation when we breathe and compare it to exhalation during the singing. In breathing, exhalation is simply caused by relaxing the diaphragm. In singing, if we simply relax the diaphragm, we are only capable of producing a very weak and short croning vocal sound, like So, suggestions sing or support naturally has no real meaning, because if we do, we'll fail. Sing naturally can be applied to amateur crooning only, short breath, breezy singing. We know that diaphragm plays significant role to vocal support, but during the exhalation it just relaxes. Therefore, diaphragm is not capable of supporting chiaroscuro sounds. Diaphragm is a muscle, has one strong direction, to push down. But pushing down is inhalation. How can we turn an inhalation action into chiaroscuro factory? Old singers, even without science, knew that action and called it sing as if you were drinking the sound. Feel like you are inhaling. Let's look to what happens if we just push our diaphragm down. We inhale, don't we? And from this, we can see clearly that diaphragm alone has no value in supporting the sound. I repeat, alone. So if we push diaphragm down, we inhale. It's like sitting in a car and pressing the brake pedal to start it moving. You see, we don't need a brake unless we want to stop, slow down, or just regulate the speed. Imagine the role of the diaphragm as a brake that you always have your left foot on, like in a difficult roadless race. You keep it on and push it down when necessary. Those who sing classical and operatic music use diaphragm to create chiaroscuro sound, but use diaphragm passively and unconsciously, as a car brake, but never pushing it, just constantly holding it. That's called diaphragm support, and often by mistake called Appoggio technique. Appoggio in Italian is support, so every teacher in Italy can say I teach Appoggio, or how to support. But Appoggio technique is somewhat different. Jerome Hines was the first singer and teacher that studied that Appoggio technique should be clearly distinguished from Italian word appoggio, that means lean upon or down. And you see, Italian language describes the movement in singing more accurately than English one. Compare support and lean upon, appoggio. They suggest two different directions. Support is kind of up, and appoggio, lean upon, is down. As an objective fact, we need these two forces in appoggio technique like we need an engine and a gas and a brake. A driving force, as a gas acceleration, is provided by low apps and balancing force, brake, provided by diaphragm. In singing, we always should keep a little brake on the pedal to control the speed, and when necessary, push more on the brake pedal or the diaphragm. By using diaphragm and not other means for that control, we eventually learn how to sing without forcing, throaty sounds, avoid extreme nasality, and singing with more than one register. We avoid to sing with more than one register. Remember that appoggio technique brings to one timbral unforced, constant singing. It's the technique of the great singers.
So when you go down hills and you have a speed, the driving force actually is the gravity. And therefore, in order to control your speed, you don't have to use your pedals anymore. You just have an accelerator controlling, just having the brake, controlling it. See, I'm telling you to the brake. So this is how you control your appoggio.
Let's look at the riding bike video again. Imagine the speed of the bike is the flow of air that you need to control. So the speed of your bike is your airflow. Now if you're going down the hill, that's what the biker is doing. You're going down the hill, you have already a natural force moving you, which is called gravity. But in order to keep bike with the same speed, you need to use your brake. So the brake is appoggio. Brake is the diaphragm pushing and controlling the speed of your bike. In this case, it's a brake.
Now you've seen how the car works and the brake works with the car. So when you, let's say when you accelerate and you brake at the same time, in a certain surfaces you actually bring stability to the car. The professional racing pilots, they know that. Now I would say that, for example, riding the bike, it's closer to more professional singing sensation and comparison. Because when you're riding the bike down hills, you will have the downhill itself, so the gravity is going to be your supporting force, the low abdominal muscles. They give you that automatically, right? That's the more professional singers don't feel low support if they're already appoggio. The low support is something that stays there almost subconsciously. And what happens to support? The support and the brake or the balancer or the diaphragm plays exactly the role of the brake in a bike when you're going downhill and you're trying to maintain the same speed. Of course, in this particular case, you will see the smooth ride down because there were no bumps, nothing. So the brakes are even. But if you have more bumpy road, then the brakes will be more active. The same thing we have when we try to control our appoggio. When we try to control the even pressure in our lungs or the perfect balance and perfect compression in our lungs. So we use this as a break. As you see, this movement as a break. So the Appoggio singer, again, the opera singer, they don't much feel low abdominal muscles, because low abdominal muscles are absolutely necessary for support. And if they're singing more than 10 years, of course, this is not anymore something they feel really clearly. But when it comes to the break, Appoggio singer feels the opposite movement. That's why some Appoggio singers think that this movement we support with Appoggio, there's nothing else. But in fact, there are two forces combining, creating this Appoggio effect.